When I was going through depersonalization and derealization disorder, I would often be totally scared of going insane. The fear of going crazy and losing control is one of the most intense fears you can feel. And it's very common for DPDR sufferers to feel this way almost every waking hour of their lives. But can you really go crazy from depersonalization and derealization? The short and simple answer is no. There isn't a conclusive link between DPDR and going insane. So then, why do we constantly feel this fear? And how can we overcome it? The fear of insanity is actually one of the most primal fears we can experience. It's only second to the fear of death itself. Whenever we feel like we're beginning to lose our grip on reality, this fear starts spiking. The fear of going crazy, like any other deep-rooted primal fear, builds on itself. Once you start feeling this fear, it quickly builds up and can reach a high intensity. This is when you can go from being afraid to actually having a panic attack. I remember I first experienced this fear of insanity when having a panic attack. I'd never experienced anything like that before. It left me shaken. Some people think that they're going to die from a heart attack while experiencing a panic attack. But there are others like me who dearly hold on to their sanity. I felt like I was about to snap when I was having my panic attack. I thought I was going to go insane. It's one of the most unsettling fears that I'd ever experienced. And then after that day, I was afraid that I would go crazy almost every single day. It took me a while to overcome this fear, but here in this video, I'm going to tell you how to do it so that you don't have to struggle as much as I did. The fear of insanity does not get triggered easily at first. It usually takes a panic attack to trigger it. But if we're mentally ill or have been feeling weak due to a lot of stress, then we're setting ourselves up for this fear. Sometimes consuming marijuana or psychedelics like LSD or mushrooms can also trigger this fear. There's a region in your brain called the amygdala, which is responsible for detecting threats. These threats can be something as real as an outside threat, which is basically where you're being chased by a wild animal or something. Or it can be internal, like suddenly feeling out of touch with reality, which is usually a common symptom of derealization. Once the amygdala detects a threat, a series of events happen, which finally results in your adrenal glands dumping adrenaline into your bloodstream. Adrenaline is the hormone that makes you jump in fear. It's responsible for producing that stomach churning, heart beating fast kind of panic that's very distinct from more moderate kinds of fears. As I previously mentioned, the amygdala is usually in the background and it doesn't trigger these primal fears easily. But once it triggers these fears, something happens to you. From that point onwards, it becomes easier to be scared again and again. It doesn't take much for you to get triggered easily after your first experience. You can probably relate to what I'm saying, right? Before experiencing the fear of going crazy, you may have been a carefree person. But once you got a taste of that insanity fear, you cannot seem to let go of it. That's all you can think of. This is because there's an ancient survival circuit in your brain. The amygdala is part of that circuit. Its job is to keep you alive and in control. This survival circuit is powerful and can influence our thoughts, behaviors, and beliefs. Think of it as your internal alarm. The fear of insanity is very close to the fear of losing control. I would say they're pretty much the same. So when the circuit thinks that something bad is happening to you, even though it might not be true at all, it starts sending the danger signal. Once we perceive this danger signal, we react to it with fear, which intensifies the signal, which makes us react with even more fear. As you can see from this, we are becoming fearful of our fears, and this quickly spirals out of control. Such rapid buildup of fear makes us feel like we are totally losing control. This is what we experience as the fear of going crazy or the fear of insanity. So now that we've examined this fear of going crazy up close, let's see how we can overcome this fear. The good news is that we've already begun our healing journey. Just by learning about these deep-rooted dark fears and shining a light on them, we're beginning to get an upper hand over them. So now, when you experience this fear of going crazy, you can try to remind yourself that this is just a deep-rooted fear you're feeling. Another important thing to remember is that just because you experience this fear, it doesn't mean whatever you're afraid of is going to happen. You see, the survival circuit in your brain is designed to err on the side of caution. To put it simply, it's better for you to react with fear even when nothing dangerous is happening. Because doing so will keep you alive and hopefully in control. The survival circuit doesn't care that this fear is so unpleasant and that feeling this fear over and over can put a dent in your life. It just doesn't care about any of that. Its only job is to keep you alive and in control. So it keeps flashing that danger sign even with just the slightest provocation. This is what's known as a false alarm. You may have experienced this when making pizza at your home. Suddenly the fire alarm goes off and it's so annoying that it just won't turn off that easily. You're frustrated. You yell at the alarm, "Hey, you know what? I'm just making pizza. Why are you overreacting?" This happens because the fire alarm was designed this way. The manufacturers wanted to err on the side of caution. They would rather have this than a fire alarm that beeps only after the fire is out of control. Do you see what I'm trying to tell you? Every time you are experiencing this fear of going crazy, just remind yourself that this is just a false alarm. Next, try to understand what depersonalization and derealization disorder truly is. Knowing that DPDR is just a normal response from your body to stress and trauma is going to be helpful for you. It's simply a defense mechanism and nothing more. I know this is hard for you to believe, but therapists agree that the reason we experience DPDR is that it shields us from stress and trauma. Remember, you're not weak for going through DPDR. Anyone can experience this disorder if they underwent enough stress and trauma. Once you build a good understanding of what DPDR is, use that understanding to neutralize when the fear alarm goes off inside of you. When you start to think, "Oh my God, my reality feels weird, I must be going crazy," just remind yourself that this is just how DPDR feels. There's nothing wrong with you. You are simply experiencing a symptom of DPDR. It's unpleasant, there's no denying it, but DPDR is simply not dangerous. A common fear among DPDR sufferers is that DPDR must be the starting point of something like psychosis or schizophrenia. This is not founded on any scientific truth. This is just your fearful brain jumping to conclusions. Most people who experience psychosis or schizophrenia have delusions that they totally buy into and start believing in. But when you go through DPDR, you may just experience a racing mind with a lot of scary thoughts. You have so many thoughts all at once. It just feels like your mind is just bombarded with these thoughts. Some of these thoughts can be very strange in nature. You may have philosophical and existential thoughts like, why am I here? What does it mean to exist? Where did we come from? Etc. But even when you're having these strange thoughts, you can still understand that these are simply thoughts. On the other hand, a person undergoing schizophrenia or psychosis can have delusional thoughts that they actually start believing in. The people going through psychosis and schizophrenia may experience hallucinations that they totally buy into. They cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is a hallucination. On the other hand, someone undergoing DPDR has not lost their ability to understand what is real. Sure, the way you experience reality may be altered, but you're still in touch with it. You're just having these strange thoughts and these intense fears, but your ability to understand reality is still intact. Don't be alarmed. You're not going crazy. You're not going insane. You're not going to lose control and run around the block yelling gibberish. This was a big fear of mine. Actually, you know what? None of my fears of going crazy or going insane ever came true. Nothing dangerous happened to me. Was I afraid something bad might happen when I was going through DPDR? You bet, for sure. But even after all of these years, I am still here and I'm still sane. Nothing bad ever happened to me. And one more thing, realize that there's a lot of misinformation out there about DPDR. All of this adds to your confusion. You may be having an okay day and then suddenly you decide to Google about one of your DPDR symptoms. You may end up on a forum and then you start reading about someone else's DPDR experience and then you start to think, can this happen to me? What if I end up just like this person? This will trigger those deep fears in you. Stop doing this. Don't go to these forums and don't expose yourself to misinformation. Why do you want to disturb your peace of mind? If you're looking for accurate information on DPDR and want to know how to recover, then do check out DP No More. It's my science-based online video course that can help you recover from DPDR. DP No More contains all the right information you need covered in short, easy to understand video clips. Not only that, if you're struggling to reach recovery, then working out the exercises in each section of DP No More can definitely help you get unstuck. There are also 9 guided meditations to help you find peace and calm during any kind of DPDR scenario. Consider DP No More as your personal guide that can help you get over and recover from DPDR. If you're going through DPDR and worried that you're losing your mind, use what you've learned here to calm yourself. You got this. You're in control here. Don't let that false alarm fool you.